Yeah, so the way we look at our business is we think that eventually there is an opportunity to create, at least in Europe, on a short term, a solution that allows consumers to live on wind and sunlight forever for free. That's the mission statement we have. And I'll lead you through the process and we'll show you actually that this is possible, right? So the first thing that we are solving is very simple, but it's very important. The primary energy that we use right now is always gas, oil, or coal. They all need to be refined, drilled, and transported. That's really costly. And in essence, this primary energy is not only pollutive, but it is costly. And that's the key factor that we are working on to replace. Once the primary energy is arriving at the generator, so actually the energies that we want to have as customers is either mobility, it's electricity, or heat. So in order to actually get rid of primary fossil energy, we need to first replace all of these assets. We call this electrification, and we would say that we are an electrification company. I'll get to that as well. In contrast to that, wind and sun are free, and that's not just a phrase. It's true. You don't have to pay anything for delivery. Sun radiation is delivered to your solar panel free and automated. Yeah? The same goes for wind. Wind is also delivered to the generator itself free and without any charges or pollution. And that is super powerful. I think most people do not really appreciate that fact. So this primary energy source is very powerful in essence. And we want to connect everything and everyone to that source. And what we need to do in the first step, and that's what we're doing as a company, is we are setting up the systems in order to electrify your home, but also to electrify any kind of building. So electrical heating, air conditioning, generation of solar, batteries are really important for what we do, but also electric mobility. It all merges at the home, and as Jochen just stated, customers want to have it as a one-stop shop. So in the first phase of our business, we're 3 years old now, we have been focusing a lot on how can we actually deliver all of these assets to the customer in the last mile. And after less than 3 years, we are now active at 75 locations, 2,200 people that work for at 1Komma5. We have reached 100,000 unique customers. So sorry, Enpal, surpassing you on unique customers. Last year, we did roughly $500 million in revenue. This year, we are going to aim for 650 million in revenue, which is the third full year that we have. We have saved 14 million tons of CO2. That's the accumulated lifetime value of the CO2 emissions that we prevent by electrifying our customers. And we have 20,000 systems connected to our Heartbeat platform. I'll come to that. That actually is a growth of 3,300% in coming from our starting year 2021. And we use M&A mainly to reduce the risk when it comes to labor and profitability. So we look at, especially if you want to go multi-market, and we think multi-market is really important, you need to de-risk your first foot at the ground. And that's what we do via M&A. And only this makes it possible, because this is a hardware business. So that kind of growth in hardware is very difficult to achieve otherwise. But there is a larger problem that we are solving in parallel. So, and that is that 100% renewables, so actually using wind and sun power for everything that we are powering, has a very big problem. And the problem is in Europe, we only have 2,000 hours of sun production. So the problem is only 2,000 hours we have free primary energy resources available. Even if we add wind, and even if you would assume that they don't overlap, you're not getting even to half of the hours that you need in order to operate your home. And that's the key problem with all of what renewable companies are actually doing, because right now, we need two systems. We have a fossil system, and we have a renewable system. And if you put them together, they are too expensive. So what you need to do is you need to find a way how you push consumption into the windows of production. Yeah? So what we do is we are pushing the consumption of heat pumps, the consumption of charge points, the consumption of batteries, the consumptions of your home into the windows of the cheapest production. And we're doing this now since 2 years. We have connected 20,000 systems already to that platform. And in order to do that, you first need to have control of all assets. And then you need to actually calculate individual schedules for each of the devices, and then you optimize them. You need a lot of data for that, and all of these assets are interacting in between each other. So you need really all assets on one platform, otherwise you're not going to have an optimal outcome. We've been doing this now for a while, already in Sweden, Denmark, and Germany. Holland is coming online, and it's pretty simple to understand. The imprint of wind and sun, so the imprint of the free primary energy, you can see at the energy prices at the energy electricity market. So whenever there's sun and wind, electricity prices go down. And since there's too much production, because they are only in certain hours, there is negative prices. That's a big problem for grids. It's a big problem for society, political funding and all of that. But the beauty for our customers is we can help to solve the problem. And what we do is, you see our app here, we are pushing all consumption into the cheapest price window. And this is how we achieve incredible results, actually. And let's have a look at these. So if we are now looking at 20,000 customer systems that have been optimized by our Heartbeat AI, Heartbeat is the name of the platform, we've reached a result where actually 40% of our connected customers in May actually received more income than they had cost. So they received more income than they had cost. So we're not saving 40%, we're saving everything in that month. And that's very volatile because it depends on the assets that are actually connected. So it's not one answer for everyone, but just to give you an overview, this is a PV and battery customer. I'm just going to click through because of the time. If we make it more complex for our AI, we add an EV because you actually don't know when the EV is arriving, and you have more electricity that you need. And so it's more complex to solve that problem. But in May, we achieved also negative prices here. And it's including the CapEx investment into our systems. And the same goes for the heat pump. Heat pump is even more complex because it's very convenience-driven. It's really also acyclical to solar. And still, even there, we achieved in May negative pricing for customers. And this is an outlier just to give you an idea, because the assets of our customers, they are performing a service. And the service is to stabilize the grid. The service is to actually help integrate renewables and get rid of fossils. And this customer made 72 cents per kilowatt hour. So instead of spending 35 cents, they had an income. So actually, they are looking at their assets as an income generator. And of course, that's not true for every customer. And of course, these are outliers, but it shows the potential. The AI that we have created is also explaining every step, since every asset is scheduled individually. Every consumer is seeing on their app what is happening. Why is my car not charging right now? What is happening to the heat pump? So the log, you have a log book where the AI is actually explaining to you how we override also certain logics. Yeah. Now, how do we connect everyone? We have 111 million buildings in Europe, and we want to connect all of them. And the easiest way to do that is you create a platform with the leading manufacturers. Heartbeat is now covering 50% of all relevant OEMs, so that's the market share that they have in their segments. So 50% of all systems installed in Europe, or at least in Germany, I'm sure about that number, are compatible to the system, and we're opening the system now to everyone, even if you have not purchased the hardware with us. And of course, we also do lots of other cool things. And I will finish with this. In our view, we have reached a tipping point where we can actually reduce the project complexity. This is like everything that needs to happen for a customer: production, logistics, last mile execution. All the roofers, electricians, plumbers, batteries, and software, energy market integration, all of it together is so complex that many customers don't want to do it because they're afraid that one of the items doesn't work. And we have reached the tipping point where we are basically promising one number. And that number is, for 20 to 30 years, we are promising our customers an effective electricity price. So if you come to us, we will not sell you a hardware system. We will actually go on an endeavor to get you your price of electricity for decades, because this is the lifetime of the systems. And we do this in one app, one effective price. And that's our promise. And that's what we call new energy. Thank you very much.